The Babylonian exile. After conquering and destroying Jerusalem, King Nebuchadnezzar took many Jews, including nobles, officials, and intellectuals, into exile in Babylon. Babylon was a mighty and wealthy empire, but they sought to assimilate the exiles. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were three of the young Jewish men chosen for the royal court to study and serve. They proved themselves to be wise and exceptionally talented, so the king valued them and appointed them to important positions to oversee the affairs of the province of Babylon. King Nebuchadnezzar, he was a great king who wanted to unify and consolidate his absolute power, not only politically but also religiously. The king had erected a huge gold statue on the plain of Dura, about 27 meters high and 2.7 meters wide. This was an act aimed at deifying the king's power and symbolizing the eternity of the Babylonian Empire. Some scholars believe the statue may be the image of Nebuchadnezzar himself or a great Babylonian god. All people, regardless of race or religion, were compelled to worship a single symbol to show absolute loyalty to the state and the king. The king gathered all the officials, governors, and rulers of the provinces to attend the dedication of the statue. King Nebuchadnezzar's declaration was a strict command. When the musical signal, the sound of the horn, flute, harp, and other instruments, sounded, everyone must immediately kneel and worship the gold statue. The punishment for disobedience was extremely brutal. Anyone who did not kneel down to worship would be immediately thrown into a blazing furnace. This was the biggest test of faith, putting the three Jewish men before a choice. Obey the king to save their lives or obey God to preserve their faith, because God's law forbids the worship of idols. The miracle in the fiery furnace. This event is a climax of the story, where the absolute loyalty of man is answered by the supernatural intervention of God. After hearing the challenging declaration and uncompromising stance of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, King Nebuchadnezzar was enraged, his face contorted. This refusal was not only an act of disobedience, but also a public insult to the king's authority. In his fury, the king commanded the furnace to be heated 7 times hotter than usual. This horrific increase in temperature was intended to ensure the most immediate and painful death, and simultaneously demonstrate the king's absolute wrath. The miraculous rescue and the fourth person. The 3 men were bound and thrown into the heart of the blazing furnace. The furnace temperature was so dreadful that the strong soldiers who carried out the task of throwing them into the furnace were instantly killed by the flames and heat that burst out. King Nebuchadnezzar, who was watching, was suddenly astonished. He anxiously asked his counselors, "Was it not 3 men that we threw into the fire? But I see 4 men unbound, walking in the midst of the fire, and they are not hurt, and the appearance of the 4th is like a son of the gods." The appearance of the 4th person in the midst of the fire, whom the king described as a supernatural being, was the direct intervention of God. Most theologians believe that this was an angel or a pre-incarnate appearance of Jesus Christ, showing that God was accompanying them right in the midst of their trial. Astonished by the miracle, King Nebuchadnezzar approached the door of the furnace and called out, "Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, servants of the Most High God, come out and come here." When the 3 young men came out, the satraps, prefects, governors, and counselors of the king all gathered to examine them. The result was truly amazing and extraordinary. The fire had no power over their bodies. Their clothes were not damaged at all. Notably, the smell of fire had not even passed over them. This event shows that the fire only burned the ropes that bound them, freeing them from bondage, but was completely harmless to the men themselves. This is the most eloquent proof of the truth that no earthly power can harm those who are protected by God. The absolute refusal and the declaration of faith. This section describes the climax of the conflict between the law of man and loyalty to God. After the musical signal sounded, and everyone knelt down, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were the only ones who did not comply. Some Chaldean officials, out of jealousy of the high position of these three Jewish men in the Babylonian court, took the opportunity to accuse them to the king. They emphasized that these three had disregarded the king's command, and did not worship the gods of Babylon nor the gold statue. King Nebuchadnezzar was furious. This was not just an act of legal disobedience, but also a direct challenge to the king's absolute authority. He summoned the three men, attempting to grant them a second chance. King Nebuchadnezzar issued an ultimatum, repeating the threat of the fiery furnace, but the three men responded with a declaration of faith that went down in history. "O Nebuchadnezzar, we do not need to answer you in this matter. If this be so, our God whom we serve is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace, and he will deliver us out of your hand, O king. But if not, be it known to you, O king, that we will not serve your gods, nor worship the gold image that you have set up." This answer contains two levels of faith. Belief in the power of salvation is able to deliver us. They firmly believe that their God has the supernatural power to deliver them from any danger, including the furnace heated 7 times hotter. This is absolute trust in his ability. This is the core point and the highest level of loyalty. They declared that, even if God decided not to deliver them, and they had to die in the fire, they would still absolutely not compromise their faith by worshiping false gods or the king's statue. The declaration, "but if not," shows that they placed their relationship with God and his law, the first commandment, no other gods, above their own lives. They did not act based on assurance of the outcome, being saved, but based on the ethical and religious principle, loyalty to God. They were willing to accept the most painful death to maintain holiness and loyalty. They demonstrated extraordinary courage, standing before a tyrannical, powerful king in the midst of his wrath, publicly refusing his command, knowing well that the punishment was execution. This obedience was the seed of the miracle that followed. The reward and glory, King Nebuchadnezzar declared, "Blessed be the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who has sent his angel, and delivered his servants, who trusted in him, and defied the king's command, and yielded up their bodies, rather than serve or worship any god except their own God." The king issued a decree to punish anyone who spoke ill of their God, and honored these three men by promoting them to higher positions in the province of Babylon. Prioritize God's word and his commandments above all human laws, authorities, or threats, even if the price is their life. Faith is not only about believing God can save, but also about trusting him, even if he chooses not to save according to our will. When we put him first, he will protect, be with us in trials, and honor his faithful people. Trial becomes an opportunity for God's name to be proclaimed and glorified. If you find this video helpful, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the bell icon so you don't miss the latest videos from my channel.